is plot a point, and then I'm going to use a slope to get a second point. So to plot the point, the y value is going to be -2 times the parentheses plus 1. I'm going to pick 3 to use for x because that will make the parentheses 0. 3 minus 3 is easy to do. So if x is 3, y is going to be -2 times 0, which is 0, plus 1. And I'm going to plot that point. So x is 1, 2, 3, and then y is 1, and the point is plotted. Now I'm ready to look at the slope. You have to plot the point first. The slope is -2. I'm going to think of that as -2 over 1. So I'm going to start at the point I already plotted, and then down 2 over 1, and there I go. I graphed my line. Another option you can always use for graphing a line is simply to make a table. So here's our equation. Think about, there's your table. Pick a couple of x values to use. Again, 3 is probably the easiest thing to use because you'll end up doing 3 minus 3 here. And there we go. We plugged in, I picked a 3, plugged it in for x. Here's a little bit of work showing how we got the y value. Pick another x value, 4, plug it in for x. A little bit of work. Notice that when x is 3, y is 1. We plotted that point already. When x is 4, y is -1. We had that point plotted as well. Our second example is in slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b form. As I'm reading this, it says y equals. I get to the slope first, and then I see the y-intercept here. I'm not going to use the slope yet. I'm going to start with the y-intercept. The y-intercept is -4, so there's my y-axis. So y-intercept is -4. It goes right here. As a little check, if I use 0 for x, the y value would be 2/3 times 0 is 0 minus 4 is -4. And that's just what I plotted, 0 for x and a -4 for y. Now I'm ready to use the slope. The slope is 2/3, so I need to start at that y-intercept and then up 1, 2, and then over 1, 2, 3, and I have my line graphed. You always have the option of making a table to do this instead. So there's my table, right? Same equation. You need to think about some x values to pick. I think 0 would be a pretty easy x value to use. Take a 0, plug it in for x, a little bit of side work here to figure out what the y would be. I probably would choose 3 for my second x value because I'm going to need to multiply 2/3 by whatever I use for x. So it works out a little bit nicer if you use 3. And then I'd have a couple of points to plot there in my table. Our last example is in what's called standard form. First, a couple warnings. This is not the slope. We're not in mx plus b form. This is not a point. We are not in point slope form. So we need to do something different here. The easiest thing to do is to find the x and the y-intercepts. Here they are. There's the y-intercept. I don't know where that is, but what I can tell you is the x-coordinate is 0 and the y-coordinate is something else. So to find that, I would plug a 0 in for x, and then I'd solve 5y equals 20. So I'm guessing that's 4 for the y-coordinate. There's the x-coordinate right there. I don't know what the x-intercept right there. I don't know where that is, but I can tell you that the y-coordinate for that is 0. So to find it, I'd plug a 0 in for y, and then I'd solve 2x equals 20, x equals 10. I'm guessing that's 10 right there. Let's check and see if we got this right. So plug a 0 in for x, solve, and plot the point 0, 4. Hey, we did. We got it right. For the second one, we're trying to find this x-intercept, so let's plug a 0 in for y. This would be gone, solve, and we get x equals 10. Plot the point 0, 10. We got it right again. And let's just make sure our line actually goes through there. There it is. So easiest way to go with this is find the y-intercept by plugging a 0 for x, find the x-intercept by plugging a 0 for y. And that'll do it for graphing lines today.